My name is Tracy Staley, and if you haven't met me, I am your science coach. And this video is to go over science journaling and how you can use journals in your classroom. So first I'm going to start with the materials you need to create your science journals. First of all, you're going to start with a journal. You're going to need the Intermediate 3-5 rubric. And for each workshop, you're going to have success criteria and I can statements. Slide those over there. Two other pieces that I'm going to talk about today are the provide your evidence and sentence starter cards. So let's take a look at a journal. The first thing that you're going to want to do is have the rubrics glued into the student front cover of the book. This is important so the students can refer back to their rubric and ensure that they're receiving all of the points on their entries and the reflective summary, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. Now, on the back cover, I glued in the two pieces I talked about earlier. So first we've got the sentence starters. The sentence starters are great because they help the kids get started when they, if they don't know where to go with the beginning of their journal entries. So maybe they were surprised at something or they discovered something new. These sentence starters are great for science, but they're also great for any of the other content areas. Under that, I've got the provide evidence and cite your resources card. This is a place for the kids to look to make sure that they are giving credit to the resources where they found the information. This is something that's great for science and also supports the ELA Florida standards. So whenever they're talking about something that they learned, they want to refer back to where they learned that information. It may have been from a hands-on exploration, it might have been from a Fusion Digital lesson. We just want to get them used to giving credit to the sources. So I'm going to flip back to the beginning and talk about a few pieces. So I just put in a label. Some teachers do this. Some teachers choose to let the kids decorate their journals. That is up to you. The next page I left blank, and this is a page that you can use for table of contents. Depending on your grade level, you may or may not choose to include a table of contents. That's why I left mine blank. The decision is up to you. If it's something that's taking too much time, then it's something that is acceptable if you cut out of your journals. So I'm going to flip here, and we're going to talk about what the journal should look like. So the first thing that you're seeing here is an example of the success criteria. The success criteria lists the I can statements for that workshop or module. And at the beginning of each workshop, you're going to pass out the success criteria and have the kids glue them in. After they glue them in, you're going to read out loud each of the I can statements, and the students are going to rate their level of understanding. So not comfortable, somewhat comfortable, very comfortable, or I can teach it. Now notice that the kids are not marking this with a check mark, they're actually putting in the dates. So when I completed the success criteria, on the first day I was not comfortable in any of the areas. The success criteria is something that you're going to want to revisit throughout the workshop. I suggest at the beginning, somewhere in the middle, and then again at the end. So if you look at my dates, you can see how I progressively became more and more comfortable as we went through the workshop. Also take note that there were two areas that I didn't mark myself I can teach. That's okay. We want the kids to understand that it's okay for them to be honest on this because this is useful information to you. You can see where the kids may or may not have understood a concept, and that's something that you can address in a small group or possibly in your science literacy center. Now, after you have gone over the I can statements and the students have rated themselves in the intermediate grade levels, you begin with a quick write. So the students just quickly jot a few sentences about what they already know about the topic. This topic was talking about plant parts and functions. So I wrote a quick journal entry about what I knew about plant parts and the functions. Again, remember this is a quick write, so it doesn't need to be very long, and it's just eliciting the student's prior knowledge. After the quick write, the students are going to glue in the I can statements for this workshop or module. This particular workshop had 4 I can statements. So I glued this one in and left space on these 2 pages for writing. There's the second I can statement and space, third and fourth. Now the students are going to respond to the I can statement that relates to whatever you're teaching that day. So they may not, well, they actually will not be responding to every single I can statement every day. Each day they're going to be focused on a different I can statement, whichever one you are instructing towards. So after a lesson, the students are going to find their last journal entry. A good way to do that is using a sticky note. That way the kids aren't flipping through all of their pages. They can turn right to that particular entry. Now what we want to make sure that they include on every entry is a date. They want to cite their resources and then include science vocabulary, underlining their vocabulary words. So you can see on this day the students made a diagram. It is also very beneficial for the kids to include diagrams, not just writing in their science journals. But on this day, the students did a virtual lab. So they're telling where they got the information from and what they learned that day. Each day while the kids are doing their reflection, this is a great time for the teacher to circulate around and leave feedback on journals. I suggest getting around to about 3 to 5 journals each day. That way you don't have to carry them all home at once. So, after the workshop is over, then we're going to get to what we call the final reflection. The final reflection is written at the end of the workshop, and it explains what the student has learned. Again, notice that they're underlining their science vocabulary words and sharing what they learned with the resources that they learned from. After the reflection is done, you pass out the next success criteria, they glue it in, put their initial dates in, and you start the process again. One other piece that's different in intermediate than primary is the rubric for the science notebooks. In this column, the students are actually going to rate themselves using the rubric. They're going to give themselves the points that they think they deserve. This is where the teacher can put their points. And it's a nice conversation piece if you have a student who's rated themselves at a 20 for putting all their dates, but you notice that they didn't have any dates. So this is a good reference for conferring with them about their journals as well. So this was a very quick crash course in science journaling. I am going to be providing some after-school professional development on journaling. I'll get those dates out to you as soon as I know them. And hopefully you can come and learn a little bit more if you need to. Good luck. Happy journaling.